Thanks for tuning in to Loser Kid Pinball Podcast. This is episode 96. I am Josh Roop. With me, my co-captain, as always,
Scott Larson.
Man, we're getting up there in numbers, aren't we, Scott?
I know, we're getting long in the tooth, so we need to start our exit strategy because
I agree.
Most podcasters like go to 100 and then poop out.
Yeah, something like that. So, But you know who hasn't pooped out yet? That is great to get a pinball machine from.
Who hasn't pooped out, Josh?
Flipping Out Pinball. And I know that Nicole and Zach do a great job at getting your product. Our friend Julie, she came to Expo with us.
Yep.
She was awesome. She got her very first pinball machine ever.
Woo woo.
She got a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Pro. I love Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. It's a great game. It's kind of brutal for a first game, but hey, put it on 12 ball because you can team up with the 4 turtles and then take on Shredder.
Now, it is brutal, but the Pro is definitely the way to go. I thought the Premium got in the way of the fun.
Yeah.
But hey, that's the beauty, is you can get whatever you want. And I know they have those things in stock. And so if you want those, or if you want to get on a waiting list for Godzilla, go ahead and let him know. Or if you want that sweet Mandalorian topper, he will be able to hook you up.
Also, if you want to get in before the price increase, which is January 1st on everything that isn't Bond, because Bond's already got a price increase, hit up Zach. Avoid that $700. He's got Rush in stock. He's got Mando in stock. I think he's got a couple other titles that are all premiums. It all applies to the premiums.
He has a new in box Lord of the Rings that he's willing to. No, okay, maybe not.
So yeah, if you need a pinball machine, it's coming to be coming Christmas time and whatnot. Hit up Flipping Out Pinball. Scott, We've got a special guest on today.
We do have a special guest.
This is this gentleman's first time ever being on a podcast, and he's coming on Loser Kid. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing.
I think it just says that he asked about 10 other podcasts, and they are no longer accepting interviews. But either way, I'm glad to know we're at least on the list.
Exactly. This is Mr. Silverball Swag himself, Will Oetting.
Yeah, thank you very much. I appreciate you having me on.
Well, and you have become more of a public figure here in these last couple months because my email's starting to see that there is new content coming out from This Week in Pinball, and you have something to do with that, right?
Yeah, recently I've been doing the Monday posts, and I'm trying to, keep up with what's going on. I'm definitely not putting the effort in that Jeff always did, because he always talked about doing over 40 hours just on TWIP a week. And I can't do that. I can't afford that, but I'm trying my best and getting that content out there. So,
okay. So what begs the question is, are you taking over This Week in Pinball? Is Jeff still involved, or is it a partnership? How does that work?
So at the moment I am doing pretty much everything for This Week in Pinball.
Okay.
I actually came on and I've been working with Jeff for a while with TWIP. It was, I think, about 4 years ago that I reached out to him and just said, hey, I can do website maintenance. So do you need any help? And so ever since then, I've been behind Jeff, and I think you probably know Jeff kind of is always trying to stay behind the scenes. And so I was behind Jeff being behind the scenes. So I was trying to be out of the way as much as possible. But yeah, he has definitely kind of stepped back. He's working on his career. He got a good promotion, so that's his focus. And so that TWIP doesn't die off and doesn't leave, I have stepped up and am continuing that work at this point.
So I would say it's fair to say that Jeff has stepped away and you're driving the bus now.
Yeah, and that is also part of the reason I'm working on the TWIPys more as well. So,
okay, so first off, we'll get to the TWIPys, but what I want to know more about is, tell me about Silverball Swag, because you are basically the contact for so many options. I mean, it's I will say I have put some stuff in my cart before, and then I kind of forget about it. But there are some things that I'm really looking for. I really still want my Ray Day pinball hat, so I want to get that. Silverball Chronicles hat would be awesome. And Josh, didn't you get a triple drain t-shirt?
Wearing it right now.
Oh,
yes.
you got a triple drain.
I got two.
Boom.
I got the Hydra, and then I got just the logo. So
The Hydra's
Yes,
awesome.
I had to get the baseball style of the Hydra with the triple drain. Even though there's some
Yeah.
inside jokes we've probably made
That's
with the
awesome.
triple drain guys, but
Yeah.
which we can't talk about any of those on this show right now. But no, it's a great. I love the design. I'm slightly jealous, man.
It was still family friendly. We just ribbed each other a
Yeah,
little
but
bit.
I'm
So
slightly jealous. This is a sweet design. The triple drain looks like almost Monster Bash. I love it. It
yeah.
looks clean, and I gotta say, Will, the print on these shirts are wonderful. It feels
Oh,
quality.
good.
It feels like it's not going to fade out over time. I'm enjoying the product. I bought from Silverball Swag since you guys had started. So
That's awesome. I'm glad to hear that. Thank you.
Yeah, and you can even get your This Weekend Pinball swag. That's part of
yes,
the options here.
Definitely is, and that's kind of how we started. Jeff and I. Well, I was looking for a shirt when I was getting into the hobby and couldn't really find something that matched what I wanted. Um, Double Danger was kind of the options out there, and I did buy from them, but we thought there were a bigger community of pinball enthusiasts that kind of had different tastes. And so part of the reason we started was for that. And part of the reason we started was because TWIP, needed the service to be able to provide merchandise. And so that's the direction we went with, kind of reaching out to other pinball content creators and seeing if they needed that same service and
Mm-hmm.
see if we could provide it for them. So that's the direction we went.
that's pretty awesome that you guys came up with that.
It's pretty amazing how many people have been able to do it. And the nice thing about this is how customizable it is. And
Mm-hmm.
it seems like every different one you select, it actually has many different options, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, so we actually do have some products that you can actually customize the text that gets put on the product. So um, Joel Engelberth with Just Another Pinball Podcast, he has a couple options out there where he has stuff like Just Another Pinball Kid or Just Another Pinball Dad, and you can actually change that text, that kid or dad, to say whatever you want to say. So it kind of gives you some more freedom to make your own shirt or make your own products as
Can you
well.
make one on the Triple Drain site that says which one is your favorite?
Like,
Like, are you
so,
Team Travis, Team
oh yeah,
Joel, Team Tom?
sure we could. Yeah, definitely.
All right. Okay, that's cool. What has been your biggest seller?
Oh, geez. Biggest sellers. We did for a short period of time. We sold Canada shirts.
Okay.
Those were big sellers.
Okay.
But then, of course, as usual, we had an issue, and he took his stuff off of our site. We also one of our first products that was huge was back when TWIP still had did their podcast with Zach,
Okay. Right.
and he had we did a Dennis one, and I can't remember what it said, but it was essentially like all their sayings in a cloud bubble of what was supposed to look like Dennis, like face palming himself.
Yes, I actually have that shirt.
Oh, do you
I
really?
can go
Oh,
grab
there
it
you
and
go.
tell you everything that's in her.
That's
That's a
funny.
great shirt.
Yeah.
You have so many options on here, and you can find. I mean, our friends at Super Awesome Pinball Show, they're on there. Like,
Yep.
there's ever. I mean, really, I'm gonna list off a few of just the ones that we've talked to. Backbox, Carrie Hardy, Don't Panic Flip. Flipping off cancer. Just go through Macho Pinball. It's all you can find your stuff here.
Yeah.
So
A lot of
that's the
options.
bottom line. You need swag, Silverball swag.
With Jeff stepping back and you taking more of the forefront, Will, what's the new direction of TWIP? Is it going to be same old, or are you guys going for a new direction with the site and everything?
Yeah. So I mean, my focus is not really anything new. To me, TWIP is still going to be what TWIP has been. It's just that focus on the weekly content from either like manufacturers or other content creators or anything out there that's kind of spreading pinball and giving people one place to go and kind of see it all wrapped up for the week. I think that's always going to be the focus of This Week in Pinball. We do have other things out there, like we do have the Pinball University that's out there, that we're still adding content to, and that focus is kind of bringing in new people to the hobby and getting them up to speed and giving them a place to go and find info. As well as we do the deep dives, so that's still going to go forward. I actually have an interview that I am working on with a creator of a homebrew that recently was at Expo. So I have that to post here fairly soon. So it's the focus, I think, has not changed too much. The only difference is that I am trying to push that content and Jeff isn't. So
It seems like you guys get the information so quickly. So it seems like you have, at least you have, once they announce the product, it seems like they're able to get some information to you. So because you are a good promotional tool for them.
yeah, and that's our hope.
Yeah.
And Jeff is definitely especially the last deep dive, he's still been in connection with the manufacturers. So I'm still kind of relying on him on some of those connections,
Sure.
but hopefully those will trickle over to me and we can move that forward so that Jeff can definitely step out of that arena.
So we also have the TWIPy Awards coming up.
We do. Yeah.
So
pre-voting starts this week.
Okay. So pretend like I know nothing about pinball. How are you going to describe this to me?
Gotcha. Yeah. So the TWIPy Awards are a People's Choice Awards. It's kind of the chance for folks that are in the hobby or have some connection or desire to be able to express their favoritism for things in the pinball hobby to go out and vote and kind of give some appreciation to the manufacturers that produce the games and to the content creators that are pushing out anything from websites to streams to podcasts. That's another category. So it's a chance for folks to vote on their favorites. And so the TWIPy show itself is at Texas Pinball Festival in March. We've been there for we were there last year, and then COVID kind of took us back into virtual for a while. But Texas Pinball Festival is kind of our home for the show, and that's our chance to celebrate those favorites that people voted on. Part of the reason I wanted to get on here was to talk a little bit about our people's expectations for the show. We've had some talk of it being, and I know in the beginning there was some focus on making it a high-end, like fancy presentation. It's getting compared to the Golden Globes. And so some of the reason I did want to talk to you guys is kind of set that expectation for the show, the TWIPy show going forward.
Okay.
Because like I said, it is a People's Choice Award. And so that we want to kind of reflect real pinball people.
Okay.
We're not the Golden Globes. We are not a fancy gala show. So, but I say that, but people are definitely welcome to dress up, and there will be presenters there that do dress up and kind of make it the event they want it to be. But in the same, we're just kind of a celebration. We're there to kind of show how much we appreciate everything that all these hardworking folks have done to make this pinball hobby what it is. So that's what the show is about, and I just kind of want to make sure that everybody had that expectation going forward.
It sounds like a party celebration.
Yeah, exactly.
And I would say that now there are anytime you have a voting that's open to anybody, there's always going to be challenges with that.
Sure.
Because and these are things that have been voiced before, is that, well, okay, so what prevents someone from getting grandma to vote for them? They don't really have a connection to pinball, or they have some sort of forum that there's like, hey, go and vote for me, even though you don't really know what I do in pinball. or hey, we really like this game, so maybe you should do. So how does how do you take all that into account in
Right.
doing something like this? Because you can vote, you can vote regularly.
Yeah. Yeah. And we will even tell people, if you decide you want to change your vote, go ahead and vote again. Because one of the things we do is we go through and remove all the duplicates. We check to see, did, this email get used again, or are there IP addresses that are similar? And we have we check several other fields and data points to just kind of look at and see, what's going on with the voting, and is there something questionable going on? And we get rid of quite a few votes every year. So we do go through that. We go through that as a committee. We talk it through. We look at those through, and definitely, um, put some attention to that to make sure we have the best data. Now, I mean, it is a favoritism contest. I mean, there
Sure.
are going to be people asking, their grandma to vote for them. That's not something we can definitely, we can't stop that, and we don't necessarily want to. Um, it's so part of it is we kind of feel like there's a balance, right? We
Sure.
have to make sure that the voting is easy, that everybody gets a chance and they don't have problems doing it, and it's something that they can enjoy and feel part of, because it is, they're part of the TWIPys when they vote. But at the same time, we do have to make sure that we don't get a big surge of the same vote over and over again from the same IP, or we definitely take both of those into account and try to balance it out.
Well, the one thing that you brought up is you said that you go through a lot of the votes every year, and there are some that you have to discard. What makes you determine that? Like, can you share what, like, you saw a certain amount of votes that you're just like, okay, these are obviously fakes. How do you determine that?
Yeah, because I would say there's always the suspicion on any, not TWIPys per se, but for any sort of email voting system, there are programs out there and services that
Sure.
would like to take your money to provide you with votes.
We do. I mean, there are several data points that we look at. We probably don't want to give you all of that information, just so
Sure,
that,
which is fine. Which is
yeah.
fine.
Come
Um,
on, Will. I want to know how to game the
Yeah.
system.
that's
Come
right.
on now.
But it's, I mean, obviously email address is one of them. But even
Yeah.
in email address, I mean, everybody can have multiple email addresses, right? So um, part of that is timing. Did we see three votes come in quickly and their email addresses are similar, or they're from the same IP?
Okay.
All of that is taken into effect. And like I said, we kind of we gather that up, and we sit down as a committee and kind of go through it and point it out and discuss it. And so, sometimes we just lean to like, hey, this is too questionable, but we don't know if it's right or not. We're just going to get rid of it and not worry about it. Um, Part of that too, though, is that the more data we have, the more people voting, the more accurate our results will be. Right. So,
And absolutely, the more data points you have, that's statistics. Your N power goes up. Yeah.
right. Exactly. So that is part of it. So we do hope to get as many people voting. We want to know what people's favorites are. Um, and that part of that is also we do use a ranked choice voting system. So if you don't know, you have a couple choices with the write-ins. This pre-vote, you only have two options. You can vote for your favorite, and then you can essentially pick your second choice or your second favorite for these items. The pre-vote is only there to pick nominees for the final vote. So we're just trying to get that top list, and that top, the top number of nominees is kind of dependent on the category. Some categories, like maybe homebrew, we might not get enough. We might not get 10. We're often shooting for the 10 nominees, but sometimes we don't get that many. So, um, but the rank choice gives you kind of the option to say, hey, I have a favorite, but I want to give credit to somebody else. So you can then have them as their second choice. And so the more first and second choices, those points add up and kind of weed out in our minds what a favorite is in that category.
Speaking on that, so speaking of the categories and whatnot too, um, let's just put it out there. I feel like a lot of the drama comes from the content creators uh subcategories. I don't ever hear at the end of when everything's said and done, the chips are down, the TWIPys have been placed out. No one last year was like, Halloween got ripped off because Godzilla's not that good. I didn't hear that.
Godzilla got robbed. Yeah.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
It usually comes down to complaints of content creators. Has that become so much a headache in your guys's in your field that you feel like maybe it's not worth your time having content creators in with something like as professional as the pinball industry? Because you've got these people making $1 million products, $1 million+ that they've spent 18 months on, and then you have, I'm just going to use us, like
Yeah.
me, that you've seen the quality of the podcast tonight.
Yeah.
We've only dropped off 3 times tonight, so
Yeah, and I don't know if I would consider myself as quality of product as maybe a Stern Godzilla or even a spooky Halloween.
So, category wise, I mean, some of what what TWIP, I was explaining a little bit about TWIP and what the TWIPys are, is that we do want to promote and kind of push the content creators, and show that, they are a vital part of the community and the hobby. So celebrating them as well, I think, is just part of what we are looking to do. Yes, they at times can be a little difficult and cause problems. And even we did kind of throw around in the TWIPy committee recently. We did kind of throw around just kind of mashing them all into one category, but we kind of felt that would really limit who we were able to celebrate and who we were able to kind of give credos to and all their hard work. Because, I mean, as you guys know, I'm sure that it's not. I mean, it takes work. It takes hard, dedicated work to get that stuff out there and to give us something to listen to and something to kind of look forward to. So we didn't want to lose that.
Okay, and the one thing I do want to point out, so I pulled it up while we were talking, and the write-in categories, so these are the ones you settled on.
Yep.
Favorite pinball streamer, favorite pinball podcast, favorite pinball YouTube channel, favorite pinball website, favorite pinball mod of 2022, third-party mods only, favorite homebrew pinball machine, favorite pinball location, favorite pinball convention/event, and favorite pinball topper of 2022. Now, this is obviously in addition to best art package, best rules, best game of the year, correct?
Yeah, correct. These are not the game categories. These are essentially the write-ins that we need to whittle down to get our nominees for the actual final voting. Most of everything else is the game categories. And you'll notice that from that list, that is a shorter list than we had last year. We've eliminated several of the categories. We've actually merged the convention event. There used to be a tournament, favorite tournament. We've kind of merged that all together under favorite pinball convention and event.
Sure.
And some of the reason for that is to kind of simplify things for us. We wanted to focus a little bit more on quality of the show come TPF time. And so making fewer categories kind of makes it easier for us to, create the video and get presenters and kind of focus on the show itself. We have some other changes to the show that we're discussing through as well. But just wanted to point out that those categories are fewer than last year. So,
okay.
You keep speaking of a committee too. Is how many's on the committee, and can you talk about them a little bit? Is it just people from the industry? What is it?
Yeah, so we have the committee's the same as what it was last year, minus Jeff, of course. There's what, 8 of us? No, 7 of us now. So Lloyd Olson from SS Billiards is on it. Stephen Bowden from American Pinball, Fun with Bonus. Emoto Harney from Marco and Emoto Arcade. Joel Reeves, who's a pinball enthusiast. Josh Sharp with IFPA and Lauren Gray are all on from Backbox Pinball Podcast. So that is our committee members. They were the committee last year as well. So they've decided to continue on and keep helping us get the TWIPys going this year.
That's a really solid group.
Yeah.
Yes, very diverse too.
Yeah. That's our hope. Yeah.
No, that actually really impresses me that you have that many contributors, because I was completely unaware of that.
Oh yeah, 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 and they're all very involved, both in the voting process, the meetings, and in the show itself. So they're very helpful. We couldn't do it without them because doing it alone is not going to happen.
Well, I know that when we originally talked about having you on, you talked about having Emoto with you too. I assume she does. She plays a bigger part in the TWIPys as well.
Yeah, she is definitely kind of the second or part of the kind of leadership of the TWIPys. Yeah, unfortunately, she is busy. She's heading home from the Houston arcade show, so she wasn't able to make it this time. But yeah, definitely, and definitely a big part of producing the show all over. So big part of it.
Yeah. So if there's anything that I would, we went to last year's ceremony. It was great. We were Josh and I were able to produce. I believe we did art package.
Yes.
And the one thing, if I were to give a suggestion that I heard.
Yeah.
Okay, we all know, like, especially in all the game categories, right? It may be nice to have just a quick sizzle reel.
Yeah.
Of all of them, like at the beginning.
Sure. And not
so
have to do it every category time.
Right.
Yeah.
For last year, it was like, okay, it's Godzilla and it's
Mandalorian,
and it's and obviously they're going to be, there's, especially this year, there's not going to be a lot of games. So it will be very focused. So if I were to give a suggestion that I heard, is do a nice sizzle reel at the beginning just to get to know you on all the games, and then you can have like a quick award sizzle for the winner.
Yeah, that is definitely a good suggestion. We've actually already talked about that a little bit, and then probably for every category, not doing a full review of the games in that category, but just give a quick slide of the top 3 or the top the top 2 or so before showing the winner for that category. Yeah, that's definitely a great idea, and that'll speed up the show, and just make it a little smoother. So that's a great idea.
Well, my other thought process too, I know last year when we presented, we kind of were just dropped in there. We were sent an email saying, "Hey, we need you here at this time for the ceremony," and there was never like a dry run.
Yeah.
And I didn't know, is that something you guys are considering this year as well?
Yeah, we are definitely considering a dry run, and we've even besides that, one of the things we're talking about doing is kind of setting up here's your presenter guidebook, like here's what we expect, here's where we want you to walk, here's what we wanted you to say for a particular part, or here's how you hold the mic, or even some mic tips when you get up there. I know last year too we had an issue because we didn't have a mic at the podium, so we're going to resolve that as well. But yeah, definitely more focus on having a dry run through, being able to practice it more, and making sure our presenters have an idea of what to expect and what to do. Like, they need to know what's expected of them as well. So yeah, definitely something we're working on.
So tell me about, obviously, these are all the content creators. So what are the main categories for the games this year, and which games are really being considered so far?
So the categories for the games we haven't gone through and haven't decided upon yet. So
okay.
I don't have an answer for you on that one. We have started to go through and kind of pick games that are eligible. We do on our website already there's a 2022 page up and running, and it does list the game nominees as of now. Now, the eligibility for games though is through 12/1. So there's a couple other games that we're kind of watching that might end up. So the eligibility is that games have to start shipping within the year between 12/1 to 12/1 of the current year. So 12/1 of 2021 to 12/1 of this year, 2022. Um, and right now, do you want me to go? I can list off the games that we're currently looking at.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah, so at the start is Cactus Canyon Remake by Chicago Gaming Company. We also have Funhouse 2.0 Rudy's Nightmare by Pedretti Gaming. Now, I know that's not a full game, so that won't be in every game category. It'll be
Sure.
limited to, it's right now, I think it's art and call outs and display and animations. But of course, like I said, we don't have our categories decided yet, so it's hard to say what it's going to be in. Then we do have Rush by Stern. Nick Baldridge did a game for P3 called Flipper Foxtrot Rhythm Explosion. That'll be in some categories. We also have Super Hoop by Bigtronic. Weird Al's Museum of Natural Hilarity by Multimorphic. Toy Story 4 by Jersey Jack Pinball. And the last one as of now is James Bond by Stern. But like I said, we're looking at, I know Queen may be close by Pinball Brothers.
Yeah.
And then what's the other one that's currently? This is Spinal Tap is the other possible that we're kind of watching and seeing if they get it in.
Have they started shipping those?
I'm not aware that they have started.
Yeah,
shipping.
I don't. That's such a niche game. Then
Yeah.
it may not. I don't know how many pinball enthusiasts will buy it as opposed to Spinal Tap fans.
Right.
So, but,
right.
Okay, that's actually a much more complete list than I was anticipating. I legitimately off the top of my head, I was like, I can think of like 3, but man, you filled it out.
Yeah, that's 8 at this point. But and it's kind of interesting. You mentioned Godzilla being such a runaway, last year. That there doesn't seem to be a runaway at this point. And when I look at this list, so it's going to be an interesting competition this year.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, I don't think there's a clear-cut winner at this point. At least one that I can put my finger on. Just say, yeah, they're going to take all the votes from the people. So it's going to be a very interesting year. You're going to want to vote.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so
especially all those Rush fans out there that like Tom Graff,
Yeah. Yeah, actually, I'm gonna say for the best like third-party mod, I'm like those speaker light things that do like the spinny things. I'm gonna get those for my Rush game because that looks awesome. And so here's the categories, at least the eligibility for next year, and these may or may not change, but best theme, best animations and display, best light show, best toys and gimmicks, best theme integration, which is definitely different than best theme, best music and sound effects, best callouts, best rules, best playfield, gameplay and layout, best artwork, and game of the year. That's a pretty solid list.
Yeah, definitely a good list. Like you said, I have no clue what of that will come through. I assume the majority of it will be the same, but there are changes possible.
Sure. It's a work in progress.
It's a work in progress, yeah.
So another change to this year's TWIPys is you're going with new host. It was Jack Danger and Moto that seemed to be doing it the last couple of years. What's the change of direction for, and why are we going with new hosts?
Well, I mean, so really it's just a change of feeling of the show. Things get old or we want to change things up. So we're looking for right now, really, tell you the truth, Emoto is planning to be one of the co-hosts. So you can probably look forward to that. But we are looking currently for her co-host to that's a good analog to her to kind of help push the show. So
right, because that's not easy.
No, definitely.
Like hosting a live show is not easy because you have to keep up with the pace. You have to keep up. You have to that's a big deal.
Yeah, definitely a big deal. But I do need to kind of say, though, we are considering as a TWIPy committee some of our issues or some of the some of the challenges from the previous years are making sure we have a live stream show going along with the live show there at TPF. So we are considering not doing the stream at the same time as the show at TPF and just doing a recorded playback later of the show. So, that the hope there is to kind of focus on that TPF audience to give them a good experience and have them get something exclusive since they're there and they kind of see the awards getting presented. And then still being able to get that information out to the rest of the public as soon as we can, probably on YouTube later on.
Yeah. I think that would actually really help out.
Yeah, I mean, it really will relieve some of the stress on us to kind of, being able to perform to two audiences at once is not easy. So, if we have one problem on the stream and that's not visible to us at the show, that makes it hard, and vice versa. So this way we get a chance to focus really in on being able to celebrate with everybody there.
Well, it's hard too because I was talking about this last episode, and it's not just Texas. There are other conventions have this issue, but if you're using the sound at the convention, it's not the best for streaming and for the live. And there's a lot of variable factors that go into the sound equipment provided by Texas Pinball Festival, or if it's the hotel itself. And so I agree that's a good idea of recording it and then editing it down to the way that you want it for a presentation on YouTube. I think that's pretty reasonable.
Well, I agree, and I hope others agree with that as well, so they actually get to see a good, actual quality video presentation.
So for voting, how does one vote?
So right now, pre-voting doesn't open till Wednesday, the 16th.
Okay.
It'll open at early in the morning, and they'll just need to go to TWIPys.com. There'll be a link over from there to the pre-voting ballot page. And that's where we allow you to do the write-ins for all those categories we listed before.
So TWIPys.com, TWIPYS.com.
That is correct. Yes.
Okay.
TWIPys.com. And then the final voting won't start until January 1st. And that'll include all the categories, all the nominees from the write-ins, and all the game categories. So that's our big one. That's where we need as many people to vote as possible.
So you went over some of the qualifications that the games have to go through to meet criteria for this TWIPy year. But what is some of the qualifications for the content creators and the other categories that you're going to be working with?
Sure. It obviously all depends on the category. That we have an eligibility document that we post, and it's on the 2022 page currently already. So everybody is welcome to go and review and look at that. So some of the things,
and it's also on This Week in Pinball. I'm looking at it right now.
Oh yeah, it is on the post from This Week in Pinball for this week. Yeah. And some of the things are like streamer. We say they at least need to have 5 streams in the current year. And that year always goes from 12/1 to 12/1. And I think podcaster and YouTube is similar. There's so many videos or podcasts that need to be out there. And then there's like mod. Some of the things we look for in mod is to make sure it's a third-party mod. It's not produced by a manufacturer.
Not like Insider Connected or something. Yeah.
Correct. Yeah, not like Insider Connected or our art blades that are done by Stern won't be in that category.
Sure.
But we also need to make sure that they are not violating intellectual property rights. So, we can't have
like fan arts. Like you can't do Sonic as the the third party mod of the
right,
because that's considered a homebrew, a fan piece.
Right. Exactly. Yeah, and then we also only let them be eligible for 1 year. So if if let's say if Color DMD won a year, we don't then include Color DMD for the next year. Now there are times, especially like Color DMD, that there may be, they may come out with a new color DMD for a particular game that hasn't been done yet. And if the folks that are voting put in that specific game, like color DMD, I don't know, Ghostbusters or something specific,
Sure.
we will include that if it hadn't been included before. So as long as they're specific about it, we're good with that.
Well, and the other follow-up question I have then too, because obviously you've had Kaneda that's won the last 5 years, and some of the concerns I've heard is because his show is behind a paywall and not public, he's now concerned about releasing 5 episodes in like the next week just to even be considered a nomination. Is that a concern, or like what that seems like we're splitting hairs because he's still producing pinball content yearly. It just isn't readily available to the public because of that paywall.
Yeah, and I haven't gone and looked to see what he's produced that's not behind the paywall. We also don't have anything specifically that says, there's a paid instance or not, like if you have to pay for the product that or not. That's probably something, I'm assuming he'll probably get nominated, but once he's nominated, that's something we would go over as a TWIPy committee and say, hey, here's the 5 podcasts I found from him or from whoever is producing the content, and talk through that and see what our thoughts are on that and how it meets our eligibility.
What are you looking forward to most about this year's?
So this being my first year at the Realms, I am looking forward to getting through it at this point. I just I just hope it's something that the pinball community can appreciate and enjoy, and that it provides provides something that kind of just boosts up and does kind of bring out the best in the games and all the write-in categories.
I would say I like how you basically boxed it in saying, look, this is a People's Choice Awards. And so you're going to get all the great things that happen with the People's Choice Awards and the challenges associated with that, but everybody can participate in this.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. It is a community, right? I mean, that's part of what we're trying to come together and do. So we might as well, award and celebrate that as a community.
I agree. It's certainly been great when I've been able to go, and I'm planning on being there this year. So
awesome. Looking forward to having you.
Yeah, I was excited. I was all ready to go, and then we had some stuff come up. Had to back out. So I will not be in Texas this year, sadly. But I'm excited for you guys.
Yeah. And I'm looking forward to ordering some shoes from Silver Ball Swag.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Also a friendly reminder to the after party, if you order pizza, you make sure you hide that stuff.
Will, did you hear about that last year?
I did not, no.
So, okay, Josh, did you order the pizza? Who ordered the pizza?
I ordered the pizza.
Okay. So we were hanging out with the Triple Drain guys, and I think Zach and Nicole were there, and Monica, Travis's wife, was there. And
Dennis was also there. Dennis
was there, Dennis and Tony. And so we just ordered because we were starving after the TWIPys.
Yeah.
And I don't know, you got like 3 or 4 boxes of pizza, right? I mean, something like that. And we're talking, and like some rando dude like walks down the hall, takes a look at the pizza box, opens it up, takes like 3 slices of pizza, and then just keeps walking.
Like right in the middle of our group too. Yeah. We all kind of like looked at him like, what are you doing?
We don't want to be that guy.
Yeah.
That guy who's yelling at someone for taking a pizza. I'm like, I'm kind of impressed by his boldness.
Yeah, that is a bold move. And I guess it worked out for him.
Yeah, he got 3 slices of pizza and kept walking. I was like, you know what? That is a confident man right there.
With this, if you do decide to keep going with this in the future with like a live event and then a or the recorded afterwards, do you think you'll keep it at Texas just because of the time of year it is, the event that it is, and it's a big gathering of people that love the hobby.
I mean, so far it seems to definitely worked out well to have it at Texas, and Ed Vanderveen is great to work with and very helpful and helping us promote the TWIPys and keep it running. So I don't see a reason to do anything different at this point. TPF's pretty much become the home. So
Yeah.
Definitely.
All right. Well,
No, I agree.
let's do a final plug. So, what is this is the executive summary part. So,
okay.
what is it you want people to know about TWIPy? How do they get involved, and where can they watch it?
The main point for the TWIPys is just a celebration of what pinball has to offer within that year, from manufacturers, content creators, and those that are spreading the love of pinball. So it's a chance to vote on your favorites for multiple categories, and you can do that at TWIPys.com. You also will see information on TWIP about the TWIPys, because they're closely connected. But to see the show later on, or definitely come to Texas Pinball Festival to watch the show live and in person to get that exclusive. But we will definitely post that video in its polished state later on YouTube, on the TWIP YouTube channel.
Okay, so Will, I'm going to ask the standard questions.
Yeah, which is fine.
How long have you been a pinball collector?
Pinball collector, I think I started like in 2017ish.
Okay.
So what, 5 or so years I've been collecting.
And what is in your collection right now?
Oh, so right now I have a Stars, I have a Genie, I have a Spider-Man, I have an Iron Maiden Pro, a Deadpool Premium, an Earthshaker, and the last one is a Harlem Globetrotters. That's my collection at the moment. So
That's a pretty diverse collection.
yeah.
Which one are you playing the most right now?
Probably Iron Maiden really gets a lot of my attention. If I have time,
because you love the music.
well, not necessarily. But it's as it's the old standard. I definitely enjoy the music more than I did, or
Yeah.
than I even knew.
Yeah.
It's probably one of my kids will now sing the music, which is probably not good around the house, but
Actually, so as an Iron Maiden fan growing up, the lyrics are actually quite intelligent. Like
yeah.
they're it's non-intuitive, because when you think heavy metal, you think, well, okay, you probably think a lot of hairband stuff, right?
Right.
But the lyrics are really well thought out. So I'd be totally fine with my kids listening to Iron Maiden. So I would rather have them sing Iron Maiden as opposed to like Warrant Cherry Pie or something.
So what drew you into pinball, Will?
So my father-in-law had a traumatic brain injury a while back. And then he had a relative that actually owned pinball, and it was kind of one of his things that he had always looked forward to, like being able to play pinball. And after his injury, um, he needed to kind of help out his hand-eye coordination. So I started searching for some game, some pinball machine that I thought he might enjoy, and he's definitely a big Western fan. So I found him a Bounty Hunter pinball machine that I had fixed up for him and given to him. And while I was fixing up and had it at home, I had gotten a chance to play it. And of course, once you have one, I not having it anymore made me want something else. So I started collecting from that point on.
Yeah, they multiply.
They definitely multiply. They get into your blood or something.
Yeah.
Something like that. It's yeah, and they multiply quick, I've found.
Yeah.
What's on your wish list? What are you on the hunt for?
Well, I'm actually going to go see Jeff pretty soon. And I am trying to get his Godzilla Premium from him.
Oh,
So
there you
that's
go.
that's my next hope to grab. Um, Other than that, I kind of like some of the early classic Sterns. I actually just picked up a Trident that I need to fix up. But if I don't know if you guys have seen, there's I forgot his name, but there's a guy that's been doing some new code for some of those classic Sterns. So he's got a what he's calling the Trident 2020 version.
Really?
Um, yeah, so I think it's just you. My understanding is you have to get a Raspberry Pi and connect it. He has a connection to the board.
Okay.
And then you just load his new code and you're playing a new version of Trident and he's put new sounds and new music to it. It's pretty interesting. So that's why one of the reasons I wanted to grab that and try that out.
Okay. Oh, that is really cool.
Yeah. I mean, the 2.0 versions of the games is kind of becoming pretty popular, and it's working.
So Josh and I were talking to Aaron from Fast Pinball, and that was basically what they were doing, especially with the 2.0 kits, is basically putting a new rule set on an existing game and changing the vibe, changing the feel.
Yeah, and that's definitely, I think that's pretty interesting because we know there's layouts that are out there that are classic and really good layouts, but sometimes they just miss some of the depth that we enjoy. So,
and there are some games that are completely unbalanced. They're a one-trick pony. I mean, it's like just shoot that. So
exactly. Yeah.
Before we wrap this up, I want to do a quick update on flipping the script on autism.
Okay, I also want to do a quick update that I have been trying to get to the post office, but I will try to get tomorrow. I actually threw in an extra shirt and some extra stuff for the guy who bought the Loser Kid pinball hat. So
nice.
It's coming. It's coming. I'm just a little behind.
Tim Lee, you should hit up Scott. You hear this? He gives out extra stuff to the other hat person.
Oh,
you've been supporting us for so long.
Well, Tim. Okay, I'll buy Tim a pizza or some meat at TPF. So,
so it sounds like everything has went through the board. They have approved. When we originally did this, it was 31 families that we were helping. Since then, it sounds like another family has been added to the list, and because we were able to raise $27,000, we have a little extra, and that will go to the last family on the list. And so thanks to all those that participated. Thank you again to all those that have been very patient, keeping updated with me and whatnot on your items. It sounds like everyone's received their items except for what Scott hasn't shipped out. But all of Stern stuff went out last week, and I got a message from a couple of people that they've already received their Stern stuff as well.
Great.
So I think it has been a win-win-win for everyone. It's been amazing. The cool part too is the Hot Wheels banner that was stolen sadly was not signed by Joel Balser because he's no longer working at American Pinball, but they got everyone else on there. Now they got like Dennis Norman and just all other people that work there at American. So it's really cool. Like it's one of those silver linings, right? Like it sucks that the cloud was there, but in the end, I think a lot of people ended up getting more than what they bargained for. And even the funny part is someone that bid on the koozie got their koozie, but Spooky like jam-packed the box full of other stuff. It was like beanies and koozies and a travel mug. And, and so they're like, we weren't expecting this. We only paid for our koozie. I'm like, well, cool. So good on Spooky for
Spooky. Spooky. They're great guys, right? And they are.
Yes.
Like it's certainly a small company that is worth supporting, but yes, that does not surprise me at all.
If you're looking for a new sweet shirt, hit up Silverball Swag. Go check out our friends Triple Drain. They've got some awesome stuff that they just dropped on there in the last couple of weeks. It was just right before Pinball Expo. If you don't have one of these shirts, I highly recommend the baseball shirt. I like it. It's comfortable. It hangs it's a little longer, so you don't have to worry about like bending over and showing off your butt crack, I guess. It is what it is. That's our first world problems, right? And so but seriously, go check out some of the swag. It's some great product. I haven't had an issue with any of mine.
It's awesome. Well, I thank you very much. I want to appreciate, all that you guys do for the community and putting out this great content. And thank you for having me on.
Will, if someone wants to get a hold of you, how do they do it?
You can probably, the easiest would be emailing me at will@thisweekinpinball.com.
Easy enough. Yeah. If you want to get a hold of us, we are Loser Kid Pinball Podcast at loserkidpinballpodcast@gmail.com. We're also on Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, and Instagram, all at Loser Kid Pinball. It seems like people are finding us now on the socials. So if you want to get a hold of us, best way is through Facebook Messenger. We appreciate everything. I do apologize. I've been a little slow on the emails, but there's been more emails in the last 2 weeks to the Loser Kid Gmail account than we've had in the 4 years we've been doing.
Seriously?
Yeah, well, because of the flipping the script stuff and whatnot. Right. It's like, it's pure insanity.
Yes.
So
we're up to 10. Boom.
Yeah, sure. That's what the number is, right? I'd be happy if it was just 10 at this point. Holy crap. But no, thank you for the support. Thank you for all the kind words. Everyone is awesome.
Thanks again, everybody.
And I guess we'll see you 2 weeks, maybe sooner.
Shut up and sit down.